Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. I'm driving this. This is the fastest Volkswagen Polo in India. This one is all-wheel drive and produces 450 horsepower and 570 Newton meters of torque. It does a quarter mile time of just 11.5 seconds, which is brutally quick. Yeah, this is super quick, and this car comes courtesy of Gaurav Shetty to me. So make sure to follow him on Instagram by clicking the pinned comment right away. Now straight away, let me tell you that the modifications on this car are worth rupees 60 freaking lakhs. Let's open the engine bay, because out goes the 1.2 TSI. Yeah, that is a donor car. In comes the 2-liter TSI, the E888 engine, which is obviously from the Golf GTI. It gets a carbon air intake, performance air filter, obviously cold air intake, and engine cover, which is again carbon fiber. Let's remove this. If you notice one thing, when the car is cornering now, it puts the fuel out from here, reroutes it from here and puts it back inside right there. So yeah, that's an interesting thing which happens here. And there are so many parts in this car now, aftermarket parts, that I cannot even remember the list. Obviously there is no battery here because there's absolutely no space because of the bigger engine. And the good bit is that there's carbon fiber here. Yeah, the hood is super duper light. It gets a gas strut as well, and there is no insulation here. Who cares about it, because we need more sound on the inside. Let's just shut this mic out. That was super duper light. Obviously it gets a lot of carbon fiber all across. It gets aftermarket tail lights. I think the lights are coming from the Polo GTI, which look quite cool. This is halogen though. This is a DRL or a fog light, I don't even know. It gets a front splitter. Obviously it gets a body kit. APR written here, which is an American tuning company, and a lot of parts are there from APR on this particular car. Says R right there, because this is now the Polo R, but it is more than a Polo R because this is an absolutely insane car. In fact, it has been lowered. It gets aftermarket suspension, which is adjustable. Front is easy. At the rear you have to actually open it to adjust the dampers. And it's a regular Polo, but the Polo is on steroids here. Now it gets aftermarket brakes. Obviously it needs it, otherwise it will not stop. Tire size happens to be 225 45 17s. Just see, there is no space here at all, so there is no suspension travel only, and it gets red colored brake calipers, 330mm disc size at the front. Yeah, bigger disc here. Gaurav Shetty, the name of the owner, obviously, because he takes it for drag races, so you have to put the blood group there. The mirrors also look quite nice. Yeah, I really like it. Kind of reminds me of M mirrors, and this is obviously running a black PPF, but that is carbon fiber, which can be seen, which looks quite cool and funky. Red colored brake calipers at the rear as well. Again, bigger brakes at the rear, so it gets the gearbox from the Golf R. So a lot of parts coming from the VW part bin. Obviously says 4Motion. It gets the Haldex 4-wheel drive system. Yeah, this also comes from another VW car. It says R right here because it's become the Polo R, but technically it's more than a Polo R. You get dual exhaust tips at the rear, full system exhaust. Yeah, there you can see it is sounding loud right now. And that is the underbody of the vehicle. Straight away, let me open the boot, and there you will be surprised to see that the battery is placed right there. You get a subwoofer, which obviously adds to weight, but you can remove it and throw it if you so wish. And he's actually removed this backrest, and I don't know why he's done that. But anyways, that has also been done. And yeah, it is quite an interesting build. Firstly, it has a dash cam at the rear. It has one at the front as well. And the windows are so tinted now, you can't see much from the inside. Blackened out tail lights, obviously, which look quite cool, going with the whole theme of the car. And Nick Trans is actually done engine transfer, whatever you call it. Okay, transport. No, it's not called transport, it's called swap. And rear seat space is absolutely poor in a Volkswagen Polo, so there is no space. There is no back support here, so yeah, that could have been better. Just kidding. And the door pockets are small, but this car is not about putting people in the rear seat. It's all about going fast for the driver, and that's where it absolutely excels. You get some practical bits like a rear wiper and all that, and that is an air intake which seems to be functional. Yeah, I think air can be pushed out from there because obviously the car is going to heat a lot. He was actually using Octavia VRS seats, but now he switched to these other seats because those are very heavy. GTTSI, the donor car. And interior front, the mods aren't that drastic here. It tells you the boost pressure right here, which is slotted into the rightmost AC vent, which is not that smart because I'm feeling very hot already. Phone mount, because this infotainment system, I think it's 5-inch in size, it's super old and it's not giving you any information. You need to read all of these things when you're sitting on the co-passenger seat. Always agree with driver. Tweeters are placed only on one side. That's kind of weird. And APR is written almost everywhere, which actually adds 2 horsepower to the car. This is not auto dimming. Beautifully lined sunroof. This is sort of an Alcantara finish, and the lights are actually bright, but the cover has been removed for weight saving, I believe. Glove box is, yeah, big. There's nothing inside to explore as such, and it says R right there. Now this is the DQ250, which is relatively more reliable, and then you get a center armrest here with red stitching, which you can move upwards as well. This steering wheel actually comes from an Audi car, an Audi RS car, but the VW logo has been planted here. But some of the buttons are of no use, like heated steering and view button, because this is not a fully digital cluster. This actually comes from the Polo GTI and actually from the Golf GTI, whatever, because they are very much similar, the older generation models. So yeah, it's kind of nice and funky. You have a display right here. You can browse through a lot of stuff, like it tells you the digital speed and whatever you need to know. Yeah, the range has increased, thankfully, because we are going to give it the beans where it will drink almost all the fuel in the world, because it says 2 kilometers per liter. What is wrong with you, car? You're going to drink all the fuel in the world. Or what? You're a Polo. You're not a Hummer. Don't behave like one. Paddle shifters are like really long. Well, that's what she said. Steering is super heavy. It doesn't have much play because this is the full lock. That's it. It will not go any further. Yeah, that is how stiff it is. There's a thermometer here because it's obviously hot now, so it doesn't really give you much information of what all it is capable of from the interior. From the exterior, obviously, it kind of feels fast, but the interior feels kind of normal. It doesn't feel so bonkers. Let's rev it a bit. Okay, that is, yeah, that is really very loud, but I'm just wondering how we're going to manage to see outside with these tins on the car. And the typical, Abhi bhai tu chup ho ja. This is the dash cam which is there at the front as well. So the thing is that it has the build quality of a Polo, because at the end of the day, it is a Volkswagen Polo, and every time I turn off the car, the mirrors go inside. Yeah, auto folding mirrors, carbon fiber sort of finish on the key, but there is no push button start here, old school stuff. But the chassis is very capable. When I turn on the car, okay, it does this full swipe up there, and now it will open. Khul ja bhai, khul ja. So this mirror has a mind of its own. It works at times, it doesn't work at times. Come on. Yeah, there it opens. Sort of does a dance as well at times, and I love the finishing here. Interior is quite functional, but this thing is coming out, which is not an issue, because in case the gearbox fails, you can open it and try to repair it yourself. Jokes aside, let's start driving right away. Soft limiter, huh? Alright, let's start driving this car, and there it rose to life. I get into reverse to show you that it gets a reverse parking camera. There you can see Big Daddy right there. There's a scratch guard here, which is quite surprising, and sometimes the car does not turn on because right now it's turned off. So yeah, now it's turned on, and you see the mirrors are almost always dancing, and straight away into drive, sorry, I got into sport, and off we go. So initially, obviously, it feels a little difficult to drive this car for a couple of reasons. That the engine feels very heavy somehow, because there is obviously a turbo lag here, and the steering is also on the heavier side, and then it doesn't really turn much, so you have to be a little careful. You have to put in a lot of effort to take a U-turn. So we're going to take a U-turn right now, and just check this out, okay? Now it's getting very heavy and doesn't turn much lock to lock as such. Okay, let's see how does it corner. Yeah, it does go quite nicely around the corners, because obviously this car has very stiff suspension. You can adjust it, but right now I think it's on the mid setting, so it's not that bad or harsh in terms of the comfort levels. It's quite okay for Indian roads, I feel, but then the ground clearance is absolutely zero. You can feel the stiffness though, because low profile tires and obviously stiff suspension as well. Around the corners, it's surprisingly nice and agile. I'm saying surprising because I think the added weight would have really blunted its cornering abilities, but no, not really. It does a good job without a doubt, okay? Horn is very loud, yeah, the horn. Now this car has so many modifications that I think the only thing which is original in this car happens to be the body shell and the seats and maybe the dashboard. But then we have a E8 888 engine, which is obviously the 2-liter TSI, which is coming from the Golf GTI. It has been tuned, so it's running a tune, it's running a bigger turbocharger, it is running a different intercooler and changes to the wastegate, the diverter valve, you name it. This car has almost all the mods in the world, and that's the reason they have costed around rupees 60 lakhs. The modifications alone cost rupees 60 lakhs, which is absolutely insane. For rupees 60 lakhs, without including the donor car, what all can you get? I think you can get the world. Yeah, you can get a lot of things for that price, but then the owner is absolutely mad about the Polo because this is a very capable chassis, Gen 2 obviously, and I can feel a lot of turbo lag lower down, so it doesn't feel that fast, and that is, I think, the silence before the storm. You can hear a lot of the road noise as well, so yeah, the tires, suspension, everything is quite noisy here. But then that is not the point of this car, because this car is not meant to be driven on the roads, it's meant to be driven on the track, it's meant to be driven on a drag strip where it has absolutely excelled in terms of the performance. This thing keeps showing me something which I don't want to see. What do I get into here? So I'm just going to get into media, just keep it like that for a moment, and we are going to come to a halt here. Straight away I'm going to put it into sport mode, left foot on the brake, right foot on the accelerator, doesn't launch, and off we go. Oh my goodness, the acceleration is absolutely insane. So it doesn't really have a low end punch, but then once it hits the mid range, it becomes an absolute devil of sorts. And stop saying absolute, Faisal, so many times you've said the same thing. But if you notice one thing, I can't see anything what's behind, because that is tinted completely. The rear glass is tinted very badly, can't see a thing there at all. So visibility is not the best, but the acceleration is absolutely bonkers. Okay, off we go. The acceleration in second gear now, totally mental. The way it pulls in second gear is just something else. It feels so much more eager in second gear. First gear is a little easy going, but second gives you all that punch. So stock, I think it makes around 245 horsepower. This particular engine, the Golf GTI engine, with 370 Newton meters of torque. This one, with all the tunes, bigger turbo and all that, is producing 450 horsepower when you're running 109 octane fuel, which it is running right now with a 104 octane tune. So there are multiple tunes, 95, 100 and 104, I think. So with 95 octane, it's producing around 400 horsepower. With the 98 octane, there's a 98 octane tune as well. I think with 98 octane or 100 octane, it is producing around 410, 420 horsepower. So depending on the fuel quality, the power and torque can be altered. But with 95 octane, I think it goes from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 3.7 seconds. Does the air conditioning work? Yes, it does seem to be working right now. We're just going to shut it right now. AC off. Yeah, and off we go. So when you drive it on part throttle, now it doesn't feel like the beast it is. It feels a bit easy going, but get into the throttle. Oh my goodness, what crazy acceleration. Before you realize also, it just gone to bonkers speed. This guy is just way too fast. So 450 horsepower and 570 Newton meters of torque on the dyno. 0 to 100 kilometers per hour takes 3.1 seconds with 109 octane fuel, making it quicker than any BMW M5 or Mercedes E63 AMG in the world. But then why are we comparing this with sedans? Let's compare it with hatchbacks. It's way faster than a Mercedes A45 AMG as well. This dash cam feels a bit lonely. It continues to talk to me for no reason at all. Now this gearbox is the DQ250, relatively more reliable, and this one is actually coming from the Golf R. In fact, the all-wheel drive system comes from the Audi S1. That Honda City guy is fully riced up and he didn't care about the signal, he just went. So we're going to take another U-turn, which is a bit of a pain. Yeah, in this car, it's a bit of a pain. And here we go. It doesn't go green. It does actually. So here we are. Fuel efficiency 2 kilometers per liter is what it gives with that kind of power. That's something you would definitely expect. Now, what would you expect with such kind of numbers this car has? And yeah, I'm just trying to get some heat into the tires. These are not slick tires. Earlier, when this car was front-wheel drive, the owner used to use slick tires. So we are going to turn off the traction control. Okay, and we're going to turn off the air conditioning. Yeah, deactivated, AC off. And now let's see how it's able to put all that power down. Here we go. Oh my goodness, the acceleration was so brutal that the subwoofer flew out from the rear windscreen. I am so sorry to the owner. I'll buy your new subwoofer because this one is gone for sure. By the way, this car has also got a low pressure fuel pump which is placed in the rear, the right side it has been placed, and the car is quite noisy. Yeah, it's very noisy, which is quite surprising, something I did not expect at all. But performance is something which will blow your mind. It's very expensive a project. If you wanted to have cheap thrills now, get a Polo, get the cheapest Polo, and make sure to get the cheapest and plonk that 1.8 TSI right into the Polo so you can get your own project car for approximately 8-9 lakh rupees. But remember one thing, modifying a car is like dropping into quicksand. You will continue to drown in terms of the money which will keep going again and again, because there's a lot of money you need to keep spending to keep this car up and running. Okay, let's go. The way it pulls is unbelievable, and now with traction control off, it's more brutal with the launch, and then obviously it has got cracks and pops and all those things. Top speed is 275 km per hour, which is very fast for a hatchback like the Polo, and it has got racing engine and transmission mounts as well to make sure that it's able to handle everything stiffened up faster and all those things. This is an absolute insanely fun car to drive. But before you're like, okay, let me get mine as well, remember there are dime a dozen Polos right now, so I would recommend you go JDM, because why not just pick up a Honda Brio or a Jazz and plonk in a much bigger engine, something which sounds like this. Alright, time for one last launch. Oh my god, I can't believe it actually did a wheel spin on upshift in spite of the fact that it has got all-wheel drive. So that is a big differentiator here, that I've driven a lot of modified Polos with a lot of power, but this is the car which is able to put all that power down, because this is not front-wheel drive. The other front-wheel drive modified Polos just kept spinning the wheels all day long, and that meant that they were not able to put all that power down. Okay, let's take a U-turn right now. I dread U-turns. In fact, this is not a very comfortable and easy car to drive. Not a comfortable and easy car to drive on the road, and that's the reason the owner actually sent it to me on a tow truck. But then he's like, I'm going to drive this car from Mumbai to Hyderabad, which is quite funny because I know this car is not meant for our bad roads. It's just too stiff, it's just too fast, and it also heats up quite a lot, because firstly it's like a black car completely, so heats up there, and then the engine will obviously heat, and it needs to breathe better because the kind of number it makes is absolutely insane. So guys, this is my video of the most powerful Volkswagen Polo in India. Trust me, it is not only fast, it's hugely furious as well. It's not hairy, which is a good thing. It's able to put all that power down, which is the best thing. And if you like this vlog, make sure to give it a thumbs up. I'm just looking at myself right now because I can't see anything in the rear view mirror. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. Oh my god, I don't know what sounds it makes randomly, which kind of scares me out. Okay, enough. Bye guys.